All right. Well, happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to MVP Office Hours on this beautiful January 22nd of 2021. My name is Dale Ziegler. Along with me is my good friend Squire Kirshner. You want to say hi, bud?
Hi, bud.
Hi, bud. Joy may be joining us later. Joy Shutters Helbing is our other partner in crime. Here is all the handles to all the Twitters for us, each of us individually, and then the MVP handles on a later slide. You can always go to mvpofficehours.info to get all the information for not just our call, but the other calls around the world. Over here on the right, I did a quick click through just to make sure that these links were still good. But anything that's a Salesforce event, whether it's a Salesforce Dreamforce type of event, oh, there's Joy, or a community event or a webinar or anything like that, local user groups, whatever. All those links here will get you the information that you need. Salesforce's policy on why we're still in virtual, you can read through that. Community events as updated as they know of. Admin events, this is more than just admin stuff. This is webinars. This is any in-person events that might be happening, any virtual events, as well as recorded events, I believe, are in there as well. So, and then the customer success events as well. All of those links, you can go here if you're looking for anything educational, conference-wise, whatever. And then the lower right corner, Squire, Joy, and myself are all local user group leaders, and we would love it if you're looking for a local group or a regional group to join, or even a national and international group. I mean, that's the beauty of the Zoom age of 2020 plus 22 days is you can join literally any group in any meeting, and it's all good content. And we're all very, very welcoming. So if you're looking for those smaller local groups, check out this box here in the lower right corner. Global MVP office hour. So I mentioned that this is our handle. There's a group in EMEA, and then there's also a group for Portuguese. And Carlos, you know we're going to call on you, brother. So you want to speak to the Portuguese call real quick?
Yes, my name is James Mamoa, and wrong chat. Yes, thank you, guys. Yes, it happens like next Thursday is the last Thursday of the month, and everybody is welcome. Language is not a barrier. I translate from English to Portuguese and Spanish and vice versa. We have every once in a while, I already have some people for next week from India. So that means they might speak Portuguese, they might speak English or any other language. So feel free to join. Language is not a barrier.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. And thank you for extending the reach of that, not only for the communities that you're serving, but for anybody around the world who's looking to give back, looking to seek help. That's what we're all here for, is to just help extend the reach of helping each other. So thank you for hosting that. And that Carlos's call is usually last Thursday of the month, as is EMEA. Ours is usually the first and third Friday of the month, but we skewed January for a 5 Friday month, as well as the New Year's holiday. Our next call will be back to normal, first Friday of February, so the 5th. Registration link is static, so you can go out there and register now, as well as any future meetings, but don't go too far out, because Safe Harbor, Joy, Squire, and I are going to meet after this to talk about, we're not going to have Zoom anymore, so TBD on that. But anyway, you can get past recordings on YouTube or through the community or through Twitter, and please use our favorite hashtags here. Obviously, that'll help us curate the content, but also help you go search for content if you're looking for any of the past calls or questions that were answered. So if this is your first time here, welcome. We love having you. What are we doing here? Well, it's a call for open questions that you may be having with a current build or a deployment or the upcoming release or any number of things. Everyone is encouraged to participate. You don't have to be an MVP to answer the question. If you're not an MVP and you know the answer, give us the answer. Give us your perspective. This is an open call. We as the MVPs are just facilitating it with the Zoom account. We just ask that if you're not speaking, please mute yourself. To ask questions, you should have the ability to raise your hand in the chat, or post your question in the chat. Joy, Squire, and myself are all monitoring that. And then if you're able, unmute yourself and speak more to it. Or if we have dead air and no questions, unmute and ask something. I mean, it's all fair game. We just ask that you announce who you are, so that we know who we're talking to. Along with that, please also, some of us have had kids hijack our Zoom accounts, and that's fine. We do what we got to do. But for this professional-ish call, and I'll own the ish, just give us your real name so that we actually know who we're speaking with. That's all. In the actual participant window. You can post links to resources, anything that may help push the conversation along. You can also share your screen. We just ask that because we are recording, first of all, if you can't be recorded, we need you to jump off. This is the disclaimer. We will have the recording posted this evening or sometime this weekend with our deck, links to resources, all that kind of stuff. But if you can't be recorded, please jump off. Also, because we are recording, please do not show us your production environment unless it's just an absolute like last resort. Please show us a sandbox or a dev org or Trailhead or whatever. We just don't want real world data out there and recorded on the internet. All the MVPs, raise your hand. Where are you? Squire, Joy, and Carlos, and I think I saw Stu jump in. Yeah, we got a good crew today. So happy to have everybody. We're all MVPs. So we'll jump into the first question from my friend Mike here locally. He said that it's already been resolved, but why don't you go ahead and talk us through the issue that you were having and how you resolved it? Because again, anything opportunity, pretty much everybody can benefit from.
All righty. A couple of things. Yeah, and I'll be glad to share my screen, but the question came to me that the management wants to keep track of changes to, let's see how that works. Keep track of changes to opportunities, keep track of the price change after it's closed won. And sounds simple enough, but I had two instant thoughts. One was, this is going to be used 5% of the time. And so my first thought there is, put it on its own object, get it out of my life. I never want to see it. That's just the way I think. Another thought that came to me, number 8 in line, was this is an opportunity product. Why don't I just turn on field tracking, get the history? I'm not finding the button available on that object, just to throw it out there. So Dale has talked a couple of times over the past 6-8 weeks about Mentor. And so I'm thinking, all right, we're going to build an object. So I looped in our newest admin and said, you're going to build the object. It'd be her first. And as we were talking on the phone, walking through this on Wednesday, I had, as I'm sure Dale will attest, you start thinking about these things differently. And I thought, why am I making this so hard? I'll just put another field on the opportunity product line item. And so that's where I'm at today. So on the opportunity product, they want to see the price when the opportunity was open, any price changes made after the opportunity was closed won, and they really want to see that number. How much did it change? So that's kind of where I'm trying to get to. So that's the simple part. Some concerns are presentation to my users, because I don't know about your teams, but the companies I somehow managed to land employment with, their sales teams are hired for selling skills, not for computer skills. And I try to make it really simple for them. And one of the things about opportunity products is went one click too far. One thing about opportunity products is that mini list view here, which I suspect gets used a lot. I don't want to put 2 sale price fields out here because I just don't want to. I think it's confusing. And yes, I can manage it with a validation rule, but it's confusing. So what I went at was over the course of time, I know this is Apex, it's really hard to read. This is a page redirect. Works great for me when I have Visualforce pages and I'm using record types. I mean, it's a delightful thing. I thought, well, when I look at this code, I see get, and it's record type. That's just pointing at something, and it's given a value, and it's returning page reference. And I've read that's a partial URL. Okay, that sounds pretty simple since I don't know Apex. So I made one for me where again, I'm on the opportunity line item object, and I'm going to get a field I call stage name because I copied it down to that object. And when the field equals some value, pull up that partial URL. Yeah, not so much. It doesn't want to work. So that's where I'm at today. It's not a problem. What I'm going to do is create some Visualforce, bury it in those standard pages and call it that way. Because that mini list view is important to me. And I kind of have to have that. I can't walk away from that. So I'm going to get there, but it was quite the adventure so far.
Hey, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Is the why behind knowing the price change?
Yeah.
Like, do we know what that is? Is it because they're still in negotiation, or because someone's, jerking around with stuff, or they're not supposed to be, or?
I don't know, honestly. Again, my experience has been salespersons have an incentive to inflate the value of opportunities.
Well, and you're right, absolutely. And what it looks like is you're honing in on a solution that catches them doing it.
Yeah.
To potentially fix a process.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why I'm asking about the why, because why track the illegal behavior if all you need to do is stop it? So then I would encourage you to find out like the why, like why do we need to find out what this is? Because you can just stop them from editing the product pricing after it's closed won. Like after you've gone through negotiations, after you sign the contract, you can't change you can't change the price. You can't change the opportunity.
Yeah.
So I would encourage you to find out the why behind this. The other thing is, in the past, I have tracked changes to next step, and how that came across. And what that did is we created a long text field to accommodate that next step, and really only managers could see it. And so what that did is it like copied and appended like the value that's been replaced with a date stamp. And so that was one way that we overcame that. And I know I did it without code because I don't code. And I have to poke around to see if I can find, remember how I did it, because I don't have access to that org anymore. But I would find out the why behind the request, because then you can better address it. Because is it something that needs to be reportable, or is it something that just needs to be viewed per record, or what's the situation there?
Yeah. And good point. And I strongly think this is about people who are misjudging. And again, my sense is it goes to this, where we have the executives are making annual budgets based on forecasts. And when you miss your forecast, you start asking why. And you come back to these opportunities that said you're going to have all this money, and it never showed up. So that's kind of my sense of what's going on.
It sounds like there's negotiations happening after the opportunities are closed won, and that seems like a little bit about a cart before the horse kind of thing. So that may be a reevaluation of your sales process also, and understanding that closed won means you're done tinkering with the values.
Yeah. Good point. Good point.
Because that's a validation I've used in the past also. Like once an opportunity is closed won, nobody can edit it except for the system admins in the event of like a terrible error. Yeah. Right. And you can actually log like why you're changing it as opposed to someone changing it. Yeah. As they feel like it.
Okay.
So, there's a couple quick comments in the chat just to follow up. So I'm sorry, is that Chris that mentioned that can't you track this in a report using opportunity or product history? And I think you said earlier that this isn't actually the product history or the opportunity history, it's the opportunity product record itself's history.
Right. It's the line item.
Yeah. And that doesn't have a history option. Is that what you said?
I'm not able to find one.
That sounds like it's probably accurate. It's not a first class object, so it doesn't get all the goodies that standard and custom objects get.
That's an interesting comment though, because you should be able to see the opportunity amount change though, unless like, you've got some real math wizards over there that are like tweaking one product and the other at the same time, and then they get the same amount.
Yeah.
because I was thinking that along that same line, I mean, as long as you're going to look at opportunity to see that, you could also you could do some sort of chatter post or, on update, put the comment in the opportunity that this product was changed from X to Y. Then you're not actually just holding it on the opportunity product joiner object. You're actually putting it at the opportunity. That might be a value too.
And that's something I gotta look at. Yeah.
Cool. And I got to ask, just best practice. You got hard-coded IDs in your code, and that gives me the chills.
That's why I don't do it for a living.
Okay. So let me ask
4 words. I didn't do it.
So I will ask then that's fair. Then I'll ask that your first resolution for 2021 is, in any code you write, start leveraging custom metadata or custom settings to track, to link to those IDs. IDs are data. And so if you use those other tools, you're able to reference that value and actually modify the data so your code works right without having to modify the code every time an ID changes.
And I will work on that, but since we're here, it makes my head spin because you mentioned this, I think, the last time around about metadata. So I went out and took the trailhead. It made my head spin.
Oh yeah. So I will only offer this. It should, and I think if you do the trailhead on custom metadata, but you do it with a problem to solve in mind, like this one, it'll click because it's so abstract, and they're giving you an abstract problem to solve. It won't stick. But when you say okay, I need to change my code to reference effectively a standard object or a custom object is the way to think about it, that nobody can see but you. If you are solving this problem while following that trailhead, it'll link in. And if it doesn't, then Jen Lee and I would be more than happy to educate you.
Okay. I like the challenge, so I'll take it on.
All right, cool.
All right. Thank you.
You bet. I think we have Marty next.
Hi, this is Marty. So I'm a consultant. Somebody who no longer works there installed the LinkedIn Sales Navigator about 6 months ago. It's inactive. They're not going to use it at this time. And the bottom line question is, has anybody had the delightful experience of trying to uninstall it? Because it is giving me multiple error messages because when they did install it, they didn't do all the steps. And there's a wide variety of record types that are no longer needed that are causing complications. Any takers?
I would say, as you are able to, that's not the only managed package out in the world that's ever done that to anybody. The best I've ever had is you document each of your steps. Like when I tried to hit uninstall, this was the first wave of errors that I got. And then, because eventually it's going to spider web its way on out.
Yes.
So as you start to resolve each of those issues, you want to document your journey. That's really the best that I can come up with, because at some point you may, like if it's saying you must delete these 5 record types first, if you delete the first one, it may then open up something else up that ends up referencing back to an earlier generation of your spider web. So to have that visual there and just take it one step at a time, which is painful and time taking, but to start to create that visual for yourself is what's helped me, at least.
Very good advice. Okay, thank you very much.
I've actually done it. I can't go into detail of how they installed it, but yes, it was an issue with it embedding all the different record types, activity types, and then on top of that, the data when reps are logging activities, it's using those record types and those activity pick list values. So I had to change everything to a more of a standard common value, and then I completely uninstalled it. But if they installed it incorrectly, I can't walk you through that.
Yeah, they didn't finish all the steps, so I don't have a master record type in the activity. Luckily, nobody's used it, so I don't have the other issue. But the other issue is exactly what you said with the activity.
Mm-hmm. I'm wondering maybe if you reinstall it and then completely uninstall it if it'll fix the errors if there's a new update to that package, but I'm not sure.
I was thinking the same thing. Like finish it so you can then get rid of it. You might be on the right track there, Chris.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I'll look into that. And that's a good idea. Thank you, everybody.
I'm sorry. Is it Chris? I don't remember.
It's Chris.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Chris.
Sorry. Yeah. It's Chris.
He's hiding behind his email address.
Yeah.
I'm here now.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's all right.
Andrea, you're up.
All right. So I know the answer is flow. It's just a matter of making sure that I get to it all, finagle it properly so that things don't explode, because we had a similar issue that did. So here's the requirement. When basically we need to, a case goes into a specific sub status and other things are set. One field is filled in, one field's not, right? Then it starts a process of going, hey, you need to answer us. Hey, you need to answer us. So after the first 3 days, it sends an email. Hey, you need to answer us. 2 days later, if they haven't answered, hey, you need to answer us. Same email. And that happens 3 or 4 times. But then after that 3 or 4 times happens, then we go, it gets a little bit more forceful. We're going to use, there's just a different wording that goes out. And that fires 3 or 4 times, again, every 2 days. And then if they haven't answered by the time, like 8 reminders, then we stop the process. And assertive, yes, assertive. And then we stop the poking, and then internally it gets alerted. So not that, I doubt anybody's gonna be able to read it, but that's my initial. Oh, that
Disappeared.
I lost it. Hold, please. Let's turn off the background.
Background.
I'll bring it back. Not that's not going to work. To be able to read
it was almost working.
Yeah.
Wait. Let me share, because we have a similar flow that we had turned off when we migrated to our new org because it was not working properly and there were errors. Share. So this is the. So this is what it's doing. So basically, when the case goes into this needs more information, it's setting a timer to now, and then 24 hours later, this is the process it's following with the sub. Come back, and then this is the sub flow that it's running. I don't remember what errors we were getting. This was back in October. So essentially what I'm looking at is a series of decision elements where it's like, okay, wait 72 hours. And then did we get a response? If no, then it's another decision. And I'm going to track the number of emails that were sent out. So send the email, add 1 to this value. And then so basically, if you have no, there's another decision that says, if we've emailed you less than 4 times, send the same email and add the count. 5 to 8 is this, and then more than 8 is that. But I guess it's then looping back into that initial decision. So it kind of is reminiscent of this.
So many questions.
Why? So I guess why? What's the objective besides just get a response?
Because of the volume, it's implementation related, and it's not just like, hey, we need a response to this case. So it's with a payments processing product that we send a form to the customer that says, hey, you need to fill this out. And we cannot proceed until that document is filled out. And the rate at which we are doing these implementations, there could be as many as, I think they're predicting, like, it's a newer product. We could have potentially 70 to 100 of them ongoing at any given point. And so the rate at which to have, we don't have a huge team at this point. So for somebody to go in every 2 days and try to check on the statuses of all these things, it's just not currently, we just don't have the person power to be able to handle that workload. Where if Salesforce can automate this pinging, and then after, so like this one that's in on cases, if basically we don't hear from you after 3 days, we close the case. Where this one, at the end of this process, it would internally send an alert saying, because there would be other updates, there's other automation where if a customer responds, then we would manually fill in another date field so it wouldn't hit that decision process again.
So
Squire's got it.
Well, my question before Squire, before time-based workflow, is why not use the Service Cloud functionality of entitlements and milestones and escalations? Why not carve out your path through those? That'll track your time. That'll keep you within a time box. That will trigger an action after whatever amount of time. That'll give you that path that if you then get to either X amount of time after or X amount of, knock, knock, knock versus then just stop it and do something. And then you're not having to build the automation to support it. Those tools have already been built to do that. Have you looked into those?
I did not because I didn't because this was already built out. I also don't have it's more like, for me, might be easier to figure out than it would to figure out the automation on entitlements and milestones, because we have them, but we're not really using them properly. We're not really there's just one generic entitlement that's set up for everybody.
Is this your opportunity to be the hero and make an investment in future sustainability?
I don't know what our time frame is. I would like to get everything updated and cleaned up, but it's also, I've inherited, it's the good old, I inherited things that are, there are things that are less than ideal. Gonna leave it at that.
Hero takes time. Being a hero also means you get to dictate the time it takes to do so, because this is what I, as a consultant, this is where I love coming in with the cost versus investment conversation. For you to go all the way back to square one and say, no, this is how we should be doing it. That's an investment, because you will come up with a solution that keeps you standard. It keeps you foundational, it keeps you native, it keeps you sustainable, versus continuing. As soon as I started to hear some of this, you started not you. This is a path with nothing but long-term costs because of the constant upkeep. Salesforce already gives the tools through Service Cloud to do those kinds of things. And this is your sales pitch to your higher ups. I know you know this. This is the sales pitch. This is what will invest. This will reap the returns, short-term and long-term, to go back, start over and say, no, this is how we should be using entitlements and milestones. This is how our business process, our requirements plays into accomplishing this goal and sustainably.
Additionally, this is going to be easier for somebody else to come in and assist and tweak, as opposed to learning flow from and understanding this flow from the beginning.
Right, which is where I came in, because I didn't build this. It was okay, let me figure out what this is doing and why. I understand what they're getting at. And so you can use entitlements to track if the customer hasn't responded, because it would be a matter of, I think that's what I have to kind of understand, is how to track, because it's updating as much as, right now, the automation that's in here, when a customer, for the case, should be if a customer emails, there's a box that gets checked or marked, or a field that gets updated automatically. That's this is the last customer response. So that's what this is checking for, where I think with the new requirement, group that's using it, theirs would be, I believe, would be on our end, would be manually updated. Like, yes, we received the full, because we need to track that date that we actually received the form, and the email wouldn't necessarily know that it was what the response was. So.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree. I mean, if you've got the tooling in place, the long-term value from both a user perspective, because like those entitlements and things, those metrics are visible to end users too. They can't modify them, but they can see what they're supposed to be. So now you've got everybody informed on what's happening versus just the people who can read flow. So I think that's the right way to do this. Having said that, I do want to call out that time-based workflow, you don't have to build multiple loops. You just build the time-based workflow to say, at this moment, send one 2 days, 4 days, 6 days, 9 days, 20 days, 417 days out. They all get scheduled, and they recalculate anytime the record changes. So those ones that are in the future will be erased if they're no longer applicable. So you don't have to keep looping. You just set them all up and let them trigger. And then on top of that, you could also have the workflow then create updates. Like if you need to write back to say the last update was sent on the 6th.
Right.
As long as you're not assessing that update as part of the criteria and you're just tracking a data point, now you have all those things ready to happen in the queue and you're off and running. And then it's just one flow with all of the different basic nodes, which I really oversimplified.
It's fascinating that right. No, but it's also intriguing that like the answer potentially is like the old, like the not newest functionality.
Well, so keep in mind,
I find it humorous mostly.
Well, that's a misnomer. The newest functionality is that it now can do that, not that you had to do it the old way. Like now with Flow, you can do time-based workflow. They go into the same queue.
Oh, time-based workflow in Flow.
Right, exactly.
Got it.
Not a workflow rule that's creating time-based events. It's
got it.
You can do that. So, but I will. Having said that, Dale and Joy are right. You should find a way to be a legend and use the platform.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really hard for me to understand how any business leader would say, like, I know we're paying a lot of money for this and that feature functionality, but don't use it.
Oh, right. Oh, no. I'm not arguing like any way that shouldn't do it. I just didn't know because I just didn't know fully of its capabilities because I haven't admin entitlements and milestones at this point. So that's why that didn't jump to the forefront.
Well, and also, I mean, it's never a great position to be in to have to go up to the executive leadership and say, I have to undo this because you were doing it wrong. That's a crappy conversation to have, but it's kind of the conversation that needs to be had. And that's where, you have all of us to help you with talking points and groom that conversation.
What kind of, I know we have, like, we're using them kind of sort of to track, like I said, I think there's like a single entitlement that when a case is created, it gets like the standard entitlement.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are some milestones set up, I think, depending on the record type. So, okay, I will look into that further. I mean, I told them, if I can at least to start get this initial functionality up and running and then come back and kind of revisit everything, I think that would be okay. They in the long run, the business unit that asked for this, they don't care how I do it as long as it meets their requirements.
Well, and that's even more advantageous for you, that if they don't care how it's done, don't tell them how it's done.
Oh yeah, they're not going to know.
Exactly. That buys you more time and more cover to go do it the way it should properly be done.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's good. At least I hadn't even thought about using entitlements and milestones, so I will definitely look into that. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
The queue is empty, so if anybody has anything top of mind they want to talk about, it's all valuable. It doesn't have to be. Oh, Joy. And Joy, are you new to the call?
I am. First time caller, long time listener. So I literally ran into this today, and I'm really hoping someone has like a magic magic potion. Working on lead assignment rules that are not running when we use path. So when we update the lead status for path, it doesn't, like the lead assignment rules don't run, because guess what? That checkbox that says use active lead assignment rules is not available when you're using path.
Huh.
Furthermore, it's a known issue that's been out there for at least 8 years. And I set up a process builder to get it to run with inline editing, but it's still not running on a action or on path or on Kanban, like movement.
So another little quirk, I think leads are just susceptible to some weirdness in general, because at a past client, another thing I noticed was as I was making updates to leads in Dev Console, the owner would just automatically update to the org owner.
Great. So I'm going to go by the silences like, oh, wow, Joy. No experience with that one, but that sucks. So I'll keep working on it.
Not ours?
Yeah, definitely my words. It's all right. It's a tough one. When I was looking into the issue, though, I was surprised that I came up with a known issue.
Is that org using opportunity path and experiencing the same thing?
With opportunity active assignment rules?
Well, oh, that's a good point. No, I'm just thinking if there was something with that, because those were the first two or three objects to get the native path versus
And so because it's truly related to triggering a round robin associated to the lead status, stage status. It's just like I can't get them to fire unless it is a full edit on the record.
Is the round robin custom?
No, it's using the lead assignment rules. I've got a custom code that like populates a 1, 2, 3, 4, and it goes through the lead assignment rules, but I can't even get it to hit a lead assignment rule. So my test cases, I've got 3 nearly identical leads, and I try each different like venue, and then it doesn't pop for 2 of them. So it's a brain thumper. That's what I was working on last night.
Hold on.
So execute assignment rules is number 9 in the grand scheme of things.
Where does inline editing come in?
That should be a silly question, but it's probably a very important question.
Well, that's just the record update, but there is some magic with inline editing because it's a bulk update. I'm trying to remember what the magic was there though, but yeah, because like you're basically doing multiple field updates, and you can update up to, I think what inline editing allows you to update 200 at a pop. I think that's the max, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's some limits on what those will trigger, but I'm multi-editing. But yeah, the inline edit won't show up in the order of execution because it's actually the triggering event. So.
Mm-hmm.
And you're positive there's no other triggers or anything else that?
No, I mean, it's an org that I'm running in, and so I stay far away from code for the most part.
That is weird.
Yeah, it is weird. So think on it. I really thought like a lightning action button would get me through what I needed it to do. I was wrong.
I know this is a silly thing that
no,
probably
Stuart,
is not even the answer.
I got your attention though. This is good. What do you
but
got?
Can I show you something, Dale?
Go for it.
This is so silly that you're gonna say, "Well, I've already tried that, Stu."
Tell me.
Yeah. Am I showing anything?
Layout properties.
Yep. The checkbox.
Yeah, this checkbox. So I was just having this problem where I couldn't trigger the lead assignment rules, and it's because of these 2 stupid checkboxes that you can have this on and it won't do it, you can have this on, but what I really want is this on without this. I mean, please, Salesforce, please allow me to turn it on, but hide it from the page. That
But
would
is that
really
going to be
solve.
coupled with all the related lists in Classic that if you could create new, you had new. If you could edit, you had edit. If you could delete, you had delete. And there was no way to strip them off.
Just let me turn it on though, and do the assignment rules without having it actually to show and let the users get all mixed up with it.
Right.
But-
So that's where that's really, that was the last thing I did. And I was like, oh, perfect. Poof, it's going to work. And it didn't.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to make sure that, again,
that we got
silly,
the
dumb
stepping
thing,
stones. No, you're right. You're right.
but you have to turn that on just for people that don't know.
It's infuriating, right? Because you're just like, this is how this should work. And why isn't it working this way? And then you find the known issue and you're like, okay, great. Known issue, people. What'd you do? What to work around? And there's, a bunch of custom coding. And like I said, I set up a process builder to push the assignment rules, but it doesn't go with Path or Kanban or my fancy little button. It only does it for inline editing. So granted, this need is for the primary marketing user in a small org. And so I think I can just train her to click the edit button instead of using Path. However, kind of sucks because she's got to go through extra clicks, whereas she should just be able to review it and then push it to the MQL.
Joey, I'm sure you already saw it, but there's a knowledge article about all of this. 315632. I don't know if it's any help at all.
315632. Hold on one moment, please.
867-5319.
315-362. I'm patching you through right now, please.
362. Seriously, you're hysterical.
I'm on two different computers, so I can't cut paste, and I'm trying to do both at once.
Let me patch you through right now.
Oh, so sorry. Oh, Squire, I love it. I thought you all would appreciate that stumbling block because, I mean, who knew? I used to work for a company where their lead assignment rules fired all the time, and we couldn't stop it.
That's more weird.
It was like, how is this always firing? Knock it off. So I can't find that 315362. You'll have to find a way to get us that.
There you go.
Oh,
see,
I didn't have the zeros.
When I searched for that, it came up with Benioff's number for the gender gap.
Nice. That's no good
for Salesforce, so that didn't help either.
All right, show on edit page default. Yep. Okay. Yeah, that doesn't help me. So
yeah,
that's okay.
It was the exact same stuff, and then the link takes you to an open idea, and that's where you've recently posted.
Yeah.
So all around.
Everybody vote that up. Upvote it. There was something a couple months ago that said, oh yeah, we're reviewing this and going to be able to give it some more attention. So upvote this idea right here. That'd be great.
Nice.
On it.
Yay. So that's all the news for today.
Speaking of upvoting, did anybody look at the idea exchange this month?
No.
There is the 10 topics, like 8 of them are NPO and education. It's really nice to see like some interest in the other clouds and other industries. Ooh. So if you don't already go and update your
here it is.
There you go.
It hates me. I get an error when I try to log in.
What?
Yeah, I have a case open with Trailhead. I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't like me. Fun fact.
But you should log in and prioritize stories, and then someday all the cool kids will be able to do it at the same time someday.
Andrea, if you're having problems, can you get to your Trailhead profile at all?
Yeah, it's literally when I click, I can access the community. I can see ideas. As soon as I click start prioritizing, it gives me an error message. I have sent them the screenshot. I've sent them the URL.
Make sure that all of your connected orgs are active. or actual active connected orgs? Because I know you've changed jobs in the last year. See if your old org is maybe still connected to your profile, and make sure you disconnect that one.
Okay. I'll double check. It should be, but I'll double check. Because I've logged in with my work org. I've logged in with the dev org. I've logged in incognito. I've tried other browsers. I cleared my cache and my cookies. Like,
that's okay. I received an email from an old org that I'm not supposed to be receiving emails from, and it came to my Gmail, and I'm not even sure how it got to me. So I've gotten phone calls about 2 jobs, like from Salesforce support. They called me and they're like, "Oh, we're calling about case number, blah blah blah." I'm like, the admin that is the admin that is currently there. I think her phone is set to somehow forwarding to my cell phone. Oh,
like, well, not my problem. Like,
ooh, Stu. All right, Stu and territory management.
Just want to confirm from somebody that's done this before. Want to set up enterprise territory management, and but I want to set it up so that I have 2 different models working in the same org. One for accounts that do not have opportunities, so that'd be new business accounts. We'll have one set of regions that the reps will be working on. And then there'll be a different set of regions for existing business accounts. That would be accounts where the number of closed opportunities would be greater than 0. Or, I mean, we could set a field that'd be existing business. I see someone with their hand raised, but I'm just wondering if that is a possibility to do, where I have 2 different models in the same org.
I don't know, but you've got a gap, because you said no opportunities and then you said closed opportunities. So where do you put your
existing opportunities?
Right. So you have a gap. So you need to just I guess before you need to see if you can do 2 models first. I don't know the answer to that, but you do have a gap in your logic.
The reps that do new business would be those that are handling the open opportunities for those that have no existing closed opportunities.
That's it. So there's no closed won or no closed lost.
Doesn't matter whether they have a closed won or a closed lost. They're still existing clients that we've already done business with. Doesn't matter.
Even if all the opportunities are closed lost, but you've never.
Yep, they're a current. They're a known entity. Okay. So because we've had opportunities with them, even though we didn't win them, it's not a net new customer.
Stu,
I know that it may not make sense, but
it's one model with there's no difference between region A and region B.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's just a categorization, but it's still the same model.
No, the regions are totally different.
Right.
So 2 different overlays.
Yeah. The
regions are arbitrary. Like, there's nothing that says you can't have regions that overlap. Like, that's just a label.
Yeah. I mean, sure. The state of Ohio can be in the North region in one model and in the East region in another model.
Yeah.
It's just Ohio.
There's no rhyme or reason to why, like, there's nothing that makes them independent. They're actually in the same model.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it's like the Midwest and Wisconsin are the same region. I can run a rule and say, am I a Midwest region or am I Wisconsin region? Because it can't be both. So they're in the same model.
So as long as there's something unique about this account, I just can't have an account that matches up to 2 different models.
And it sounds like
to 2 different reps, I guess. I got to stop saying model.
It's not going to happen, right? Because you're basically saying, like, there's a criteria that says has opportunities and something, or no opportunities and something, drops it into each one of these region models or each sections. And that model is just an arbitrary area. So I don't think you have to double it up. Now, if you were doing something like, I wanted to make sure I led with that, because I want to say, like, you know, if it's something like, if there's no opportunities, there's like a high pressure territory team and a support territory team, and that's what you're talking about. That's 2 totally different models, right? But if it's really the same model with just different entry criteria, I think you're fine.
Okay, that makes sense. All right.
I hope.
Yeah, I didn't think about it that way, but I just yeah, I'll draw it out, and I think that's right.
Okay.
That as long as I can filter it down the Plinko board and say which rep and state does this belong to, and then if the account fits, then that should be correct.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good analogy, I think, because like if you get to the bottom and you're supposed to be in 2 different Plinko holes, then you do have 2 models, but you're really only ever going to be in 1.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Hope it works.
Me too.
I'll just a side note. Every time I hear territory management, I was the recipient of in the old school days where you turn it on and you couldn't turn it off, like version 1.0, and we were stuck with it in an org that didn't need it for perpetuity, and it's forever giving me the chills to think about territory management. So. Yeah.
That was retired. That was retired this summer.
Right. They don't use that anymore. And the nice thing about this this version of territory management is that if you don't like your rules, you can totally change them and get rid of your rules and rewrite your rules. So that makes me a little bit happier to know that, hey, if I screw it up, I can just have somebody help me to unscrew it.
Counterclockwise.
Yeah. Cool.
Joy, you're having one of those days, aren't you?
Well, you know, so I don't know, you can't hear him, but the dog is like chomping on his yak cheese. It's crazy. It's like this thing, and it's just like this giant, and it feels like a block of wood. It's cheese, and he just is just gnawing on it, and it's so loud in my room. I'm surprised you guys can't hear it. So. And then in other fun news, the dog was afraid to go up and down the stairs on Monday. So, oh, George has a question. You've got 5 minutes. Let's hear it.
This is kind of just a meta question, no right answer. I'm really curious on what you all think. I'm new to the Ohana. Last week, I passed the Platform App Builder certification. And one of the things that I see, both in studying for admin and then for this, the way to think about the questions are, you know, if you can do it with a workflow, do a workflow. If you can do it with Process Builder, do it with Process Builder. If you can do it with flows, do it with flows. And if not, you go to Apex. But with flows gaining so much power, and I've heard product managers saying flow is all you need. Of course, there's a learning curve there, which I'm just at the beginning point of. Where do you think, so safe harbor, I'm asking for your thoughts, Salesforce is going with all of this? Because you know, you have these old orgs with 4 workflows on one object and 3 process builders on the same, you know, it's just a mess, right? So going forward, if it's clean, but even this whole methodology of, hey, if you can do it with a workflow, do a workflow and then working your way up. Thoughts?
Stu, you go first. You're muted. I want to hear you, Stu.
A little angry though.
So I would just say this, that, and everyone in the group might have a little different opinion, but regardless of what you'll hear about, well, Salesforce may or may not be retiring certain features or whatever, I don't really care. But what I would say is that what you can control as an admin is really important. So if you look at the order of execution and study that really well, you can't really control workflow rules. And you can't you can somewhat control Process Builder, but not really. But you can control flow. And there are ways around how to set up flow in such a way to have a master flow and then have subflows. So if you really, really want to control what your org is doing and how process fires, flow will give you a lot of control over what happens and when. And then I'll shut up and let somebody else talk.
Joy, you had your hand up.
Oh, I did. But Lisa, what do you got?
I was just going to say, in general, Salesforce, I think, is encouraging everyone to move it to flow. And the only thing I've noticed is the only things I have trouble with flow is sometimes getting a flow kicked off properly. I sometimes have to revert back to Process Builder. The other thing I would say trend-wise is permissions and permission sets and permission set groups are a better way to go than trying to do as much with profiles. So that's what I've been hearing is kind of the trend lines.
So Dale.
I would like to offer my get off my lawn stance. Fair points from everybody to this point. Yep, they're obviously encouraging flow because that's where they put all their resources into it, because it's finally a more universally acceptable, not accepted, declarative automation source, because it can do all the things. You still have orgs in Classic because you can't completely uproot that. You still have so much functionality baked into profiles. It's going to be a while before they undo that. They may not enhance it anymore, but profiles are pretty bulletproof. Workflow rules, pretty bulletproof. Flows, cement's still drying on them. Process Builder, built on the Flow platform. Definitely not perfect. I also put in the chat that no matter what, you're always going to have code, because Flow is never, ever, 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 ever going to be able to handle the capacity that code can. So you're always going to have those two coexisting, and sometimes peacefully if you know how to do it, not peacefully if you don't, and it can get pretty catastrophic if you don't, because of the order of execution. I think the piece that Salesforce misses, and I've been recorded saying this before and I'll do it again, the blue Kool-Aid kind of overwhelms sometimes that, oh, just do it all in Flow. You still have to really work your way up to know how to properly use Flow and not break stuff. It's a developer tool. It's just point and click. And that's the piece that Salesforce, in my opinion, needs a lot of work on their messaging for. You still have to think like a developer. We all are empowered to, we all can, we all are starting to at various levels. And I'm not saying I'm an expert by any stretch of the imagination, but Salesforce, in my opinion, would be doing a massive disservice to retire workflow and profiles moving over to permissions and permission groups and all of that, because so much are baked in there, and it's a giant learning curve and a bunch of undoing that the Salesforce community does not have the capacity to just do like that. You're looking at a 20-year-old application that, I mean, you have orgs that are 20 years old and still standing strong. That's a lot of undoing. I don't think they can physically retire a lot of those things. And so in the absence of that, there's always going to be a void. Now, new orgs, yeah, absolutely. If you have the opportunity to rip the plastic off of a brand new box, do permissions and permission groups and only go to profiles if you absolutely have to. Do Flow and not workflow unless you absolutely have to, but or you can do everything in Flow. Just respect that Flow and code can live together. I'm gonna shut up now.
No, I'm 100% in agreement with that. I think that just like Classic isn't going to go away until the last user logs into Classic for the last time, then like 2 years. It's been the standard answer. Like Classic's not going to just like disappear one day. You know, that's a lot of band-aids to rip off, and I don't think Salesforce support can handle it.
No.
And I'll be the opposite side. I'll be the 12-year-old on Dale's lawn that the roadmap, the history and the roadmap suggest that leaning heavily into Flow, leaning heavily into permissions and permission groups is the direction, but that is something that you want to make sure you've got a safety net on. So everything Dale said is huge. Feel comfortable leaning in, but don't let go of the ledge until you're ready. And I'll give the example of, until they tell you how to set a default record type that by permission set, you have to have a profile if you've got multiple record types per profile. And there's no way around that. And if you didn't see that coming and maybe spent 6 weeks with your admins working on that project to have to scrap it and throw away and apologize, that was me, you're going to be sitting there. So I think Flow, it has this very clear, nothing's documented roadmap that it will be the declarative trigger tool of the future. Everything that you want to be able to do outside of a bulkified Apex class is going to be flow at some point. But until then, tight grip on the edge, have, buddy system, whatever you got to do to make sure that you're safe. So,
and
I have to,
absolutely 100% Squire. And I know you got to jump. The only other thing I'll say on there is don't count on being able to solve these problems in each new release within the sandbox window. That is not nearly long enough to figure it out. You need to, if you are going to make these big leaps, you need a roadmap to do so. That spans multiple releases, in my opinion.
All right, it's about 5 after 2, so we'll see everybody next time. February 5th, is that right, Dale? February 5.
February 5.
February 5. 2
Hello,
5.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.